Hello everyone, Rambles-on here. In the 1980s, an ambitious manga would begin weekly releases in Japan. It featured a little boy who grew up in the wild, was bright-eyed and amazed by the world around him, made friends easily, and was destined to take down a great evil. You all know the one I'm talking about. It's Dragon Ball Quests. Yeah, that's it, Dragon Quest. What? Did you think I was going to say some other manga that was heavily influenced by Toriyama and had the name Dragon in it? That's just plumb ridiculous. Okay. I guess I better get this out of the way early. If you know me, you know I do Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball adjacent content. And the entire reason Dragon Quest is up here is because it is very much Dragon Ball adjacent content. In 1985, prodigy game designer Yuji Horii and Weekly Shonen Jump editor Kazuhiko Torishima realized there was lots of grain to be made by working together. Torishima thought Weekly Shonen Jump would sell more copies if they began publishing articles on video games. And Yuji Horii thought they would sell more video games if they had one of the most popular boys magazines giving them good press. To help expand the broad appeal of the game, Torishima voluntold one of his most talented students and moneymakers to design all of the characters for the game. That student/moneymaker was none other than Akira Toriyama himself. And as a result, Dragon Ball and Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai really do feel like brothers from another mother. Dragon Quest even feels like a really weird Dragon Ball What If, where we get to see how the story would unfold if Goku got to continue living with Grandpa Gohan instead of losing him to a very tragic pancake incident one fateful night. So let's dive into one of the earliest manga adaptations of a legendary video game that's transcended generations. We open with narration telling us that long ago, a heroic swordsman vanquished a great evil and saved the lands. This manga was created specifically to keep the series fresh in the general public's mind when the video game Dragon Quest IV was delayed, so it only had the first 3 Dragon Quest games to look for interpretation. And this guy is clearly meant to be Erdrick, the main character of Dragon Quest III. After our boy Ricky killed the Dark Lord, all the monsters he'd infected with his evil turned back to normal and scuttled off to a small island in the corner of the map, where our narrator resides. We aren't told how or why he got here, but we do know his name is Dai, and the artwork makes it clear he's beloved by every creature in the land. This alone is enough to judge this little boy's character. These creatures are possessed and used by weapons for most of their existence. That much would make them distrustful of any humans. But our main character has gotten to know them for their sweet nature, and help them have fun again. The Goku parallels with him drawing out the best in people are already being laid on thick. I'll be saying Toriyama inspired a lot throughout this series, but he actually had nothing to do with this manga's story. Dragon Quest: The Adventures of Dai was written by Riku Sanjo and illustrated by Koji Inada, with Kazuhiko Torishima acting as quality control and providing feedback, and Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horii getting the final yay or nay on anything that got added to Dragon Quest lore. That's a lot of chefs in the kitchen for one manga, with Toriyama's involvement being relegated to nothing but providing the monster sprites for Dragon Quest, which would later get adapted in this very manga. When you consider that Kazuhiko Torishima was also the editor for Dragon Ball up to the Cell Saga, this series really is like the frozen yogurt of manga. Trying to give you the same great taste as something you love, and almost getting there, but still not quite convincing enough that you're able to look past all the differences. Case in point, Dai wants to be a hero so he can protect his island home, while Goku needed an entire character arc and seeing what happens when you aren't strong enough to get the job done before being spurred to heroics. Dai's peaceful life gets disturbed when he sees a boat on the horizon. This is no different from how Goku's peaceful existence on Mount Paozu was upset with the arrival of Bulma. Except this is where the feeling of being a Dragon Ball what-if comes into play. Bulma came in peace, while our 4 newcomers have very bad intentions. You know about all those? What if Goku was betrayed and trapped in the hyperbolic time chamber for a skibbity-dillion years? What ifs? Well, Dai basically does get betrayed and trapped on an island with all of his dying childhood pets as his best friend, Golden Metal Slime-chan, gets slime-napped. And here's where we're introduced to the theme of the Dragon Quest's birth arc. Throughout the 2 mini-arcs that make up the first arc of the story, Dai meets his heroes, only to learn that they are some pretty devious individuals. Dai wants to be a hero, he meets a hero. Turns out, he's a pretty terrible person. Dai's stereotypical Asian grandparent wants him to study and be a mage instead of following his dreams. Dai doesn't want to be a mage. But he still respects their power and how cool they are. He meets a powerful mage. Turns out, he's a pretty terrible person. Dai wants to be a hero because in his eyes, being a hero comes with prestige. What he didn't know was just how heavy of a burden it is to be a hero. Don't worry though, he's gonna learn. So Dai's grandpa gives him a set of Pokeballs and teaches him how to catch a Pokemon. Yeah, you can't dodge the allegations. Pokemon took a lot of influence from Dragon Quest. I hope Riku Sanjo got a bag from it. I assume he's not pressed for cash at least, because this series is huge in Japan. I'm not joking. We're talking massive numbers for what boils down to an ad for a video game. Our antagonists present Gome-chan as a prize to the king, and the artwork here really makes me livid. No one hurts my precious slimes. They are balls of joy to be cherished. Anyone who makes them feel sad deserves a slow and brutal punishment. The king is most pleased with this prize, and is going to bestow the champion's crown on the fake hero, making him the truest of all heroes. We know what's at risk now. Years of being threatened by monsters has made this world blind to the evils of man. And only one little boy, who has seen nothing but the good in monsters and the evils in man, can set it straight. Dai abducts the priestess in the fake hero's party, and... why is he taking her pants off? Why did he release that weird tongue monster? Oh, okay, it was just a setup for a tickling joke. Phew, I thought this was going in a way different direction. So Dai finds out where Gome-chan is being kept, and I for one am surprised he knows how to read. Making his move, Dai infiltrates the king's castle, and this is where I think the anime bumbled a bit. The 1991 adaptation of the manga played out Dai's first contact with humanity pretty faithfully. The 2022 remake changed the first episode so that the fake heroes never left the island, and the confrontation took place on a ship just a little bit away. Maybe it's just me, but this lessens the impact of Dai learning about the true nature of humanity. Look at them. They're holding a party dedicated to a malicious human, in the house of the top human. Dai having to infiltrate gives off the real feeling that he's some type of army commando on a rescue mission, as conveyed through the artwork. The artwork makes the vest that he keeps the capsules in look like a classic military ammo vest. Having the confrontation be set on his home turf takes away the tension of Dai being up against the world. But maybe I'm just going too English teacher on it. Dai should make a run at the Elite Four sometime. He'd make a great Pokemon trainer given how he makes use of every monster's specific skill in combat. From what he's been characterized as so far, I wouldn't exactly call Dai dumb. Sure, he let the fake heroes get one over on him, but they were the first humans he'd ever met. Literally. If you fool me once, it's you who the shame is on. It's not like he washed out of magic training because he was too dumb to understand it. He quit training to be a mage because he wasn't talented at it and got discouraged. But here, he took notes of everyone's weaknesses and targeted them accordingly, showing he can definitely be smart when he needs to. But then, Darylin steps onto the field. He, Dai, and the shadow of Erdrick we saw at the beginning of the series make an interesting trio. Both Dai and Darylin's designs are meant to be inspired by Erdrick's, and the writing pins them as both pale imitations of the hero of the land, but for different reasons. One, because he sold all of his heroic honor for cash, and the other, because he doesn't yet have the strength to back his ambitions. But that's okay, because he has giant frickin' monsters! Dai releases the mystery capsule that Grandpa gave him, and it frees a bunch of mysterious monsters that Dai doesn't recognize. This is interesting, because we're told Grandpa was given these capsules by the Dark Lord himself. What does this mean? How was Grandpa close enough to the Dark Lord to be given free gifts? Why were these mysterious monsters caged for so long? Who knows? I certainly don't, because before Dai can ask any questions, the priestess reveals she escaped by making a Higo faces for the slimes. So, does this imply the slimes find human women attractive? I take back what I said about the slimes being pure balls of innocence. If this went any further, we would have had to call Goblin Slayer's cousin Slime Slayer. She thinks she's gotten the upper hand against Dai by taking the slimes hostage, but the slimes do the fusion dance into King Slime. And the artwork for the priestess's scared face is great. You can tell Inada was doing his best to capture Toriyama's shocked expressions with his art. And Dai takes advantage of the distraction to capture Darylyn and... Hold the phone. That works on humans? No wonder the Dark Lord was a menace. With those things, you'd be able to make people disappear with no trace left behind. You could build the biggest human trafficking ring in the world with no risks. No wonder the land rejoiced when this dude was slayed. He needed to be stopped. The stress finally gets to Dai, and he collapses, with all of his friends rushing to protect him. Admittedly, this victory with Dai winning because the monsters protect him, and the slimes having the ability to fuse, is pretty cliche. It's pretty much a generic, the power of friendship victory. But it's way too early to have Dai steamrolling enemies, and he had to win somehow. Plus, Dragon Quest isn't a very layered series. It's very much a black and white tale of good versus evil. So I'm fine with the cliche little ending. Concluding with the king admitting he was wrong for trusting the fake heroes, and giving the champion's crown over to Dai, showing that Dai represents the peak of the heroic spirit. Until it gets commandeered by Gome-chan. Aw, I love seeing a little guy happy. Dai being crowned as the truest hero in all the land might seem like the end of it. Story's over. Main character already became the very best like no one ever was. However, that's overlooking one important thing. Dai still needed backup to win. A hero is someone who gets the job done, even when he's fighting alone. And we still have yet to see how Dai performs when his back is against the wall in a hopeless situation. A situation we see in the second half of this arc, with the awakening of a hero. This second mini-arc is where the story begins to pick up both in terms of plot and art. We start with a close-up of our main character. I like Dai's design, but I can't say that it fits seamlessly into the world of Dragon Quest. It's the eyes.
And stop staring at me with them big old eyes!
Akira Toriyama always gave his characters rather simple eyes, with most of them just having 2 dots for pupils. And even when he gave the characters irises, they still had pretty simple irises. They were never all shiny and reflective like this. But speaking of shiny, Inada's art does a great job of making the golden slime stand out. I've always thought that shiny reflective metal surfaces must be one of the hardest things for mangakas to draw. So making a character with that texture who must appear in so many panels had to have been a challenge. And I'm glad Inada didn't back away from it. Dai spots a warship approaching. Remembering his mistake in trusting humans from the last time, Dai immediately runs to tell a trusted adult, who returns the favor by trying to give him a Goku-level brain injury. Turns out it's no warship. It's a ship carrying the strongest mage in the land. Temjin the Bishop and Sage Varen step out of it. Off the rip, I just have to say that I love Varen's design due to how much she resembles Alabu, who is one of Dragon Ball's most underrated characters. But Temjin and Varen aren't alone. Traveling with them is Bulma for this arc. And I do mean Bulma. She's got no filter, is a walking book of knowledge, and inspires our main character to fight. This time, Kazuhiko Torishima even got his wish of there being romance between Bulma and Goku. Yes, that's an actual thing he advocated for, by the way. Ew. This little schoolboy crush does a better job of setting Dai apart from Goku than anything else so far. Because you know good and well if this was Goku, he wouldn't give a shit unless this woman was bringing him food or a new adventure to go on. We land this island as home to a holy site, where a ritual can be performed that grants the target the ability to use magic. But due to the island being teeming with monsters, no ritual has been performed in 50 years. Okay, this may seem a little inconsequential, but if it's only been 50 years, then our hero might still be out there, even if he's gray-haired and traded in his sword for a cane. Now that they have a guide who knows the island like the back of his hand, the ritual can be performed again. And Princess Leona is next in line to have her magic activated. Dai doesn't want to help, but Grandpa treats it like signing him up for middle school track and field, and makes him do it anyway. Along the way, we get the lore of how magic works. To use a certain spell, you need to first perform a ritual and create a pact. Upon successful completion of the pact, you can call magic forward with its spell. At first, this had huge implications for the power scaling in my mind. I thought surely Dai had only performed a low-level beginner ritual and only knew beginner magic. And on this new adventure, he'd make a pact with some overpowered spell that let him start using actual magic. And as the story progresses, we'd see him perform more and more rituals, gaining stronger spells as the power scaling rose. But my expectations were immediately dashed. Dai has performed every ritual there is, and he still can't do magic. Whoa, that's heavy. If Dai has skipped his entire shonen protagonist training arc and is still talentless, what does that say about his hopes of getting stronger? The audience is left confused and on the edge of their seats as we wonder how this little boy is going to defy the odds. Princess Leona pulls him out of his slump though, knowing just how to get straight to a man's heart. Knives! Coming across brash and unfiltered, she tells Dai to never accept defeat. While our initial impression of her might have been that of a typical bratty and spoiled princess, this exchange makes it clear. She knows the value of people, and she knows that some people need to hear the brutal truth to keep them going. Too bad she didn't see the true nature of Varan, as he releases a giant scorpion that gets to work. Props where props is due, this manga didn't pull its punches, as we see faceless mooks getting slashed to bits. I like the small touch that despite Dai only having had bad interactions with humans up until this point, he still tries to help the mooks as they bleed out. Just goes to show how heroic he really is. And Leona, despite being rude and a straight shooter, saves Dai with a magic attack that blocks the scorpion's stinger. It wasn't enough though, as she gets struck by the massive monster. It's all up to Dai now, and he gets to work, quickly learning that his knife is capable of cutting through the scorpion's tough outer shell. Varan made one heck of a mistake choosing a monster to be his method of assassination, because this little one has spent his entire life around monsters. And just like in the battle against the castle guards, he knows exactly where to strike to do maximum damage. And the battle culminates in one beautifully drawn panel. The scorpion's stinger is arched over Dai, symbolizing how much pressure our little guy is under. But instead of crumbling, he triumphantly stabs up at the sky, refusing to admit defeat, and reaches for higher heights. A beautiful display of talent from Hinata. It's not meant to be comedic, but I can't help but love the smash cut to Gome-chan flying circles around Leona on the ground, making him look like he's one of those little cartoon birds that circles a character's head when they get injured. Sorry, it was just a very unintentionally funny moment that completely took me out of the immersion. But the situation is bad, as we've learned Leona is poisoned. So Indiana Jones lied to me, huh?
Comes to scorpions, the bigger the better. Small one bites you. Don't keep it to yourself.
And she'll die unless someone performs the magic spell Squelch on her. A spell known only by Grandpa since Dai can't use magic. Varan appears, explaining that he won't let the two leave alive, and plunges Dai into darkness. And Temujin and the rest of their mooks begin the siege of the island, showing off their ultimate weapon, the Killing Machine, an ancient weapon of the Demon King thought to be long lost to time. But Temujin has managed to revive it and make it controllable like an Iron Man suit, powered by Varan's magic. This is where we see Dai in his darkest hour so far. If I may go back to my Dragon Ball comparison one final time, both Goku and Dai went through an adventure that taught them what happens when you decide to be a protector. Goku learned with Bora what happens when you don't have the strength to back up your talk, and Dai is learning that same lesson here with Leona. The difference is that Goku got to go on actual adventures before the world hit him with a reality check. He met people and experienced things that let him get a taste of the fun the world has to offer. Not Dai though. The instant he opened himself up to the outside world, he found himself betrayed by humans and everyone he loves put in danger. His dream of being a hero has never seemed further away. The job of the hero is to put themselves between innocence and the danger. But in the fight with the Scorpion, it was Leona who had to step in and be the one to save him. There's nothing more unhero-like than putting those you're tasked with protecting in danger. Dai's world is collapsing, and it's perfectly symbolized by him dropping the dagger, the tool that made it possible for him to be a protector in the first place. The defeat he's feeling is made clear as day as he despairs. If only he were stronger. If only he'd been more talented with magic. He could blast away the rock blocking their path. He could save Leona. As Leona fades away, she uses the last of her strength to try to clear Dai's conscience, telling him not to give up and continue shooting to be a worthy mage. But, even with all hope seeming lost, Dai remembers Leona's words and refuses to admit defeat. He won't give up on Leona, with an entire page dedicated to his vow to save her, symbolizing how all other thoughts have been pushed out of his head. Thoughts of not being able to use magic, thoughts of being betrayed by humans. It's all faded into white noise compared to his burning ambition to save his friend. And that ambition manifests as a powerful scream. So powerful it shatters the ornament on his head and calls forth a mighty lightning bolt. We're then treated to a shot of Dai walking out with Leona in his arms, followed by another entire page dedicated to the emblem that's appeared on Dai's head. This arc began with a shot of Dai fearfully staring out at the bay, but those same eyes are now burning with hatred, bringing Dai's character arc full circle. The framing of him stepping out of the darkness, followed by the next page positioning this new emblem front and center, couldn't make anything more obvious. A hero has awakened. Temujin panics, telling Baron to kill Grandpa, the only person who knows Squelch, to guarantee Leona dies and they can take control of the kingdom. On a side note, I like when villains have bouts of common sense like this. Far too many villains fold when their evil plan has been thwarted. As I said in my review of the King Piccolo saga, which you should go check out by the way, the best villains are the ones that can adapt on the fly. In here, Varin adapts by trying to make Grandpa Brass join Grandpa Gohan in the Flat Grandpa Club. But Dai doesn't allow it, going beast mode by unleashing a barrage of magic he thought he was previously incapable of. Varin doesn't fold yet though. He kicks Temujin aside and takes control of the operation, declaring that he alone will reign supreme. Grandpa Brass thinks that while Varin might be controlling the killing machine may be controlling him back, letting some of the Dark Lord's evil seep into his heart. You know it's serious when he gets the Dio shading. Dai races around, wildly slashing at the robot, but Varin just tells him that it's worthless. The outer shell of the robot's suit is so hard his knife will never penetrate it. Hold up, we just saw this with the Scorpion, and we know how that turned out. Turns out, Dai wasn't running around wildly. He was targeting the robot's weak spot this entire time. The reason this fight works is that it's a culmination of the 3 fights we've seen Dai in so far. We know that this is his combat style. He never goes into a fight without knowing his opponent's weakness. In most living beings' cases, the weak spot would be the brain, the thing giving the orders. And the closest thing a robot has to a brain is the human giving the orders. So Dai hits his final smash and mag dumps on Varin in the form of channeling all of his magic into one sizzle. While the robot's outer shell is protected, it infiltrates the cockpit of the robot through the hole Dai created by striking its weak point, roasting Varin. And we the reader are treated to a glorious shot of the robot sinking into flames, like a true monster. Don't worry though, cause we get a kooky panel of Varin's reaction, proving he's alive. With the enemy defeated, Leona is healed and allowed to perform the ceremony to awaken her magic. She thanks Dai and departs with one last brash comment, making it clear in no uncertain terms they are besties. And so the sun sets on the kingdom, with a new hero protecting it. He may be new and inexperienced, but it's been made clear he's the truest hero there is, and he's destined to save the day. Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai started with the first 2 chapters being published as a one-shot in Weekly Shonen Jump. The one-shot didn't pull the numbers needed to get serialized. It would most likely have been chopped if it weren't for Torishima going hard at integrating video games into the magazine. So it got a second chance with a second one-shot. That's what the next 3 chapters were. The second time around, it got the readership needed to be picked up as an ongoing series. This isn't exactly unusual. Almost every series begins as a one-shot, and then gets bounced because something is off. With One Piece infamously needing 2 pilot chapters to smooth out the edges before getting a full series. And even Dragon Ball itself has a scrap pilot that had some elements too ridiculous for even Dragon Ball. What's not usual though is picking up where the one-shot left off. Sanjo and Inaba chose not to start over when they first became serialized, which makes sense given that the author obviously dropped breadcrumbs for arcs to come. We clearly saw Baron release that giant evil scorpion out of his own tube. We thought Grandpa Brass had the only ones in existence due to how close you needed to be to the Dark Lord to get them. But this shot showing off Baron's tube, makes it clear that dark magic is still at play here. We never got an explanation for this in these 2 mini-arcs, so Sanjo must have been writing with more story in mind. And I'm glad they didn't scrap everything they wrote up until this point, because this first arc is an amazing setup for more adventures. Dai learning that being a hero isn't just a status symbol and comes with real hardships is a great foundation for a character arc. And I, for one, can't wait to see where the story leads us next. I hope you enjoyed this change of scenery. If you'd like to see me take on different projects like this, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an upload, and drop a comment down below. I love hearing my viewers' thoughts, good or bad. And consider joining the Discord so you never miss an update. Other than that, I've been Rambles-on. Peace. Hark, adventurer. Won't thou consider supporting a starving knight? For only 99 pence a month, thou shalt gain access to Sir's only videos, early viewings of the latest video, and live streams only viewable with a knight's eyes like thou's truly, Sir Rambles-on-Alot. So won't thou consider purchasing a membership today? Please? The slime's gotta eat.